I've been trying my best not to think about you, but you're stuck in my mind. I've been hypnotized by you. Hey, all the suffering and pain got me feeling so blue. Cause when it was us, I was never enough. Girl, you got me thinking I was messed up, pushing me down instead of pulling me up. So tell me what I'm supposed to do just to be alright. Girl, you got me thinking I was messed up, yeah. I've been worrying about my mental health. Cause when I'm alone, I keep checking my phone. Yeah. Seeing all these people, having someone to lean on while I don't. Girl, you got me thinking I was messed up, pushing me down instead of pulling me up. So tell me what I'm supposed to do just to be alright. Girl, you got me thinking I was messed up, yeah.
What it do, folks? What's going on? Welcome to Unscripted, December the 4th. Oh my God, 5 o'clock p.m., 8 p.m. on the East Coast time. So shouts out to our folks on the East Coast. We're going to make some adjustments for that because I didn't fathom to me that folks are probably having the Tito's right now and on Saturday night. EB, what's going on with you, man?
This year, this is December, and I'm telling you, 2021, I don't even remember it going by so fast.
You ready
It
for
went
it to
by
be
so
done?
fast.
You ready for it to be
It's
done?
insane.
I love it.
Oh my gosh, so much happened.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
We got a
much
couple of folks that are jumping in. Shouts out to everyone coming in. Look, we are streaming everywhere. We're using some additional functionality and technology. So we're streaming to Eric's channels as well. So we see some folks jumping in. Pop CT23. That's a young man that you know, right?
I do. Hey, what's up there, Pop?
Let me get these comments straight. Golly, it's almost like I haven't done this before. And then MDH is in the building. There we go. 8 p.m. Eastern time. Saturday night. Tito's in her hand. But appreciate you for being here, MDH. Marilyn W., thank you for joining as well. Look, let's go ahead and get focused because I'm going to be cognizant of time. We got a guest here who is a very busy person, but thankfully that she's able to hang out with us a little bit this evening. So, Eric, I'm going to let you go ahead and do the introductions, and then we'll bring them on and have the conversation.
Yeah, like you said, special guest today. We have a very special story. She's graced us with her. She's gracing us with her journey in this issue of breast implant illness. I'd like to welcome Kalina Salvador to the Unscripted screen. Hey, Kalina.
Hey, guys. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome.
Definitely. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for coming on. Oh, wow. I mentioned it was about breast illness, but before we get into that, Kalina, give us your background. Tell us about Kalina Salvador.
Yeah, definitely. So, I am a personal trainer, yoga instructor. There's a story behind that as well, but I'm also a mom of 2 kids, a 29-year-old and a 27-year-old boy and a girl. And so, first and foremost, I am a mom, even though they're a lot older. And my journey has been not unique, I would say, but it's definitely been a journey leading up to this breast implant illness. So, as a personal trainer, a yoga instructor, what led me um, to really go into those profession is dealing with my own issues with health. When I was, I think I was like 27. I was a young mom when I was 27. It was pretty much go, go, go. I was a student. I was a full-time mom. I worked full-time and really didn't pay attention to my health. I ended up getting super sick in the hospital for 7 to 8 days, and doctors really didn't know what was going on with me. And I actually thought I was on my deathbed at the hospital. And I remember praying and just saying, God, if I make it through this, I promise I will do something worthwhile to help others in my life. Just help me get through this. And so I walked out of the hospital. They still didn't understand what was going on with me. There was like a bunch of immune things that was going on. Anyway, long story short, I kept my promise, and I wanted to help others that were dealing with health issues. And so I ended up starting to exercise, starting to heal myself. I walked out of that hospital on crutches, not being able to walk, inflammation throughout my entire body, and again, just started to heal myself. So I started to work out. I did meditation, yoga, everything that would help me heal, including, changing my diet. And so that sort of led me on the path, that journey of becoming a personal trainer. And as I started to take on more clients, they had certain illnesses that I had, joint pain, inflammation, degeneration. And so most of the clients that I had were, had actual, arthritis ailments that they were dealing with, cancer.
Mm.
And so, as a personal trainer, it's not just about losing weight, gaining muscles, like working people hard, and really that no pain, no gain attitude.
Right.
And I started to take yoga and started breathing, like really breathing. And I sort of incorporated that with my clients. In the beginning of our workouts, it would be, let's just take some time to connect with the breath. And then, of course, going through the movements, as you both know, it's, matching movement with breath. And so I took that, a step further, and towards the beginning and the end of our workouts, it was sort of that meditative state of, let's start to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system so that
Mm.
you can really rest, so that you can really um, receive all the nutrients of what we just did here, at the gym. And so breathing became a really big tool that I incorporated with my clients. um yeah, so I love personal training. I love yoga. I started to get more spiritual with my yoga. I was kind of robotic in my yoga practice because of my personal training. Being a bodybuilder, it's all about like technique. And so and I was brought up with, not really showing a lot of emotion. I had, very super strict Asian parents. And so to show emotion, you would, be either hit or, called
Yeah.
out for it. So that was a part of my life, that spirituality, yoga, really connected me with that spiritual part. And that connection with other people. And as I started to incorporate more yoga, more meditation, more breathing, I feel like I connected with my clients, not just on that physical level, but also on on a personal level. And you both know, as a, like a personal trainer, when someone comes to you and wants to change their life, it's not, I want to lose weight. You have to kind of go a little deeper and ask, well, why do you want to lose weight? And you'll find out, well, it's because I broke up with my boyfriend. And so, I
Yeah.
want to look
Wrong
good.
reason.
Oh,
Right. Wrong
yeah.
reason. Yeah.
Why do you want to look good?
Yeah.
Why, so there's a lot of whys. And so that's the part I really enjoy, is just really connecting with people. And that's that's been my journey, and it's been such a great learning experience for me, for my kids. I learn from them as well, and and tell them about my. I'm not afraid to tell them about my journey. It's been vulnerable as well. So
Yeah. That's appreciate that, right? And just that backstory, because again, as we were kind of saying in the green room, there's so much more to you than just this diagnosis, right? The BII diagnosis. And I also I wanted to hear about your fitness journey, your yoga instructor journey. What does 500 HR? Is that 500 hour? What is there a distinction
500.
between?
Yeah, it's 500 hours. It's just the number of hours you have for instruction
Okay.
under a mentorship, under someone that's guiding you and teaching you.
We should probably all have more conversations, because Evie and I were talking not too long ago as well, how much we just hate and loathe people that go to the gym,
Yeah, what
say
another
they're training
conversation.
and they're not training. They're on their phone all the time. They don't put the weights back. We can have a whole side conversation about that for sure. But let me ask you this, and then Eric, I'll let you go into kind of your questions, and then we'll definitely look at some of these questions coming in from the audience.
Hmm.
Did you say you started training professionally and competitively before the implants, or was that something that you grew up with and you were doing already? Because I know you've competed and you've been on stage and things of that nature, but becoming certified and becoming an instructor, was that kind of an avenue to allow you to focus your attentions otherwise, right, from what you were going through from a health perspective? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So again, really, what led me into to working out, just getting into the gym, was getting sick.
Mm,
Was going 100 miles per hour, and so that was the catalyst for sort of wanting to pursue a healthier lifestyle. I also had great resources at that time. I was working for Joe Weider,
mm,
Weider Publications.
mm-hmm.
So they're, the publication company, for those that don't know, published Flex Magazine, Muscle and Fitness, Shape Magazine. And so I had at my fingertips,
Wow.
amazing resources. And
Best
so
of the
why
best,
not?
right? Yeah.
Right. Why wouldn't I learn from the best of the best? Exactly. Yeah, so I didn't, prior to that, my implants came actually after, a few years after I got divorced, and that was in my 30s. I know that was one of the questions you guys wanted to ask, was that, what age was that? And it was in my 30s, and the catalyst for getting breast implants was not to look good on stage. I hadn't yet really um, trained to competitively
Yeah.
compete, and so it really was um, getting the implants because I had had two kids, because I was in the market again to find a new man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And and I thought at that time, that would give me the confidence to to find a man, to put myself out there again. And that was my belief, without thinking about any of the repercussions, of what it meant to implant. So I didn't really ask a lot of questions. I was sick prior to getting the implants. I knew that already, that could be very risky, but again, did not really think about the repercussions of what it meant to have something implanted into my body.
Interesting. And folks that are listening, you're probably wondering what are two guys, right, doing hosting this conversation, and that's a question to ask, but that's a selfish question to ask, because we're both fathers, we're
Fathers.
both husbands as well, and these are the types of conversations that we need to be having, right, as
Mhm.
opposed to shutting these conversations out. And even during my research, I see right now, still today, 2020, whatever, I don't know what year it is, 2021, doctors still don't properly diagnose this, right? So there is a preconceived conception that breast implant illness is not real. So
Mhm.
this is the conversation that needs to happen. So that's why Eric and I are having this. I'm hitting myself in the head, but Eric, go ahead with your questions, brother.
Yeah, I think it's very relative, and especially today, because she touched on it, where we're getting a man, we focus a lot on looks, and and we think that's the quality that everybody wants to see, and it could be society. Society's made this impression that you have to look a certain way. You gotta, you can't be small, you can't be small, you can't be saggy, whatever the question may be. But that goes through individuals' minds, I think. And being a father of three daughters and a son, and their moms actually had implants. And it wasn't that I was looking for someone that had implants, but we then my daughters got older, right? And then they're like talking about it. So I think these are questions to ask. I actually, before we were doing this interview, I asked my daughter, I said, hey, there's this, illness that could happen, when you went to go get your implants, because my daughter got the implants. It made her feel confident. Like you said, it made her feel confident talking to people, just being out and about. And you guys are beautiful women, right? I'm not saying that it's something that was necessary, but it made her feel better, right? And then she told me, she said that she was always, it's made up, because I think people like to justify, that, okay, this couldn't happen to me, or this can't happen. They've done so many. But my question to her was, do they diagnose because you can be when I was reading, it said that these guys some people are their conditions are predisposed to having this, so they could actually have this. Do they test before they put those in to say, hey, you can have it, or does the doctor just say, hey, give me your money, I'll put these in?
Yeah.
Let's before you answer that, Kalina, I think we put the cart before the horse on this one, and Melanie is actually asking a phenomenal question, right? Again, just as common sense. Please define what BII, breast implant illness, is. So I'm gonna give you the full screen, and then if you can go into the answer for Eric's question, appreciate that.
Yeah. Just to echo what Eric was saying, there is no diagnosis for breast implant illness, and in fact, many surgeons, doctors don't recognize it as being an illness. But basically, Melanie, to answer your question, it's a slew of things. It's a combination of things that happen when you implant. For me, and I'm not an expert on breast implant illness. However, leading up to removing my implants, I did a lot of research, and from what I have read, what I have seen, and what I have experienced personally, breast implant illness can be. Oh, thank you for putting that information up there. It can be brain fog. I experience inflammation throughout my body from my head all the way down to my toes. um, just a lot of joint pain, breathing problems caused by the capsules that start to form in your breast, and I can go into that in detail. But I personally had a lot of breathing problems, chronic fatigue. Memory loss, just brain fog. When I like move my head, it just felt like my brain was like inflamed. Some women have experienced a lot of hair loss, um, and depression, a lot of depression. Um, but for me, it was personally just, not being at my optimal health. I couldn't breathe. It felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. And it didn't happen right away. And some women actually don't even ever have symptoms. And, thank goodness for those women. But there are a lot of women out there that do have symptoms, and they can range from, and not as severe to super severe, where I felt like I was on my deathbed at certain times. And I just felt like, women should not be living like this. It took some years for me to understand what BII was, because there's not a test that the doctors have. I went to see several doctors and tell them, I'm having inflammation, brain fog, joint pain. And they kind of chopped it down to, well, you're just aging, you're getting old, you're going to have arthritis, things of that sort. But it happened years after I implanted, so it doesn't happen immediately. For some women, it did happen immediately, but it's just, a combination of different things. Mostly inflammation is what I hear. The majority is breathing problems, And again, I wasn't at my optimal, health, just constant pain on medication a lot.
And you really have to be an advocate for your own personal health, right? Because
Absolutely.
it's the symptoms that we were talking about right here, right?
Hmm.
Sleep problems, hair loss, gastrointestinal headaches. That's 80% of what's in the medical journals, right? But you individual know when something's wrong with your body, and you
Exactly.
have to continue to be that advocate for yourself when you go and speak to these medical professionals, especially the plastic surgeons who do what they do, and they're kind of laser focused on what it is that they do. But you had to continue to have the conversation, say no, I the charts and the CT scans show everything is fine, but I'm not fine, right? Kalina's
Right.
not fine. So what
Yeah.
was the actual what was the turning point? What was that pivot point to say, you know what, it's not just you're getting old, it's not just
Yeah.
hot flashes, it's not just allergies or whatever the case may be, that actually got to the point of it being BII for you?
So this pandemic is a blessing in disguise,
Mm,
actually, for me, because I lived my life just taking medication. I'm working out like a fiend to keep my inflammation down, and I did this for years. I had my implants in for about 11 years. So just operating for the last 11 years with, being on different medications, being on specific diets, doing the work to see my doctors, and, getting different types of treatments from like chiropractic, acupuncture, ozone, everything. I tried,
wow.
and I spent a lot of money. And so going back to your question, the turning point was actually when the pandemic hit, because what I was using as a tool, going to the gym, that was my mental and my physical outlet. I didn't have that. The gyms were closed down.
Right.
I didn't have a lot of equipment in my apartment. And so I was sort of limited to maybe doing walks and maybe doing my yoga, but lifting was not, I couldn't lift anything. And then mentally, because of the pandemic, not being able to see my students, not being able to, as everyone else, our world was kind of turned upside down. And so my health started to suffer.
Right.
Um, Being in the apartment, it just, physically, my routine was messed up. I'm an early riser, just like Eric, and I would find myself just kind of being in bed, and then of course my eating habits started to get compromised. So what happened was my inflammation just went through the roof. We did
Mm,
blood work and it was off the charts.
Mm.
Inflammation was really super bad. I actually found myself back on crutches again
wow.
after
Wow.
so many years, just unable to walk, unable to grab things with my hand. And I remember for several months just thinking, I want to die. Like this is not
Wow.
how you should be living. And just
Right.
constant pain and increasing my medication. Now coming back on painkillers, and, as a fitness person, as a personal trainer, a yoga instructor, it just went against everything that,
I
that
bet.
You
Yeah.
I
teach.
believed in. Yeah. And so that played on my self confidence and then made me super depressed. So I couldn't, and then my breathing got really bad. So I
Mm.
started doing like glutathione injections to try and, heal myself once again. And I went to this clinic out in, they do like oxygen and glutathione and all these drips. And the nurse that was injecting me asked me why I was there. And I said, I'm having horrible breathing problems. I know it's not COVID. I've been tested for COVID. And just randomly, she asked me, she said, "Do you have breast implants?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And she said, "Have you ever looked into BII?" And I had heard the term once before, and I said, you know, toxins from the implants? And she said, yeah, you should do your research because a lot of it's happening to a lot of women. And sure enough, found the Facebook group
Hmm.
where I think you guys said there's like over 100,000 ladies now part of that group. When I signed on about a year and a half ago, I think there was maybe like 50,000, and it's pretty much doubled.
Wow. Yeah.
But I I hope I don't get emotional, but I went on that page and I started to read just everybody's story, and I was like, holy fuck,
Mm-hmm.
this is me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
these women are basically telling my story. And I was like, I was a bunch of emotions. I was angry at myself for not getting on this group earlier, because I did hear about this group earlier. I was relieved. I didn't feel crazy. And thinking all these years I've gone to the doctors, and the doctors were always, it's in your head. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. We've done scans, we've done blood work, we've done everything, and you're like a healthy person. And I remember my boss at the time, she was like, you're the most healthiest, unhealthiest, or fittest, unhealthiest person I've ever met,
Wow.
because I was always in the doctor's office. um, and so, after reading stories, I decided, I'm going to pursue talking to doctors, surgeons, those that believe in BII, because, of course, there are a lot of plastic surgeons that, their bread and butter is to implant.
Right.
There are only a few doctors that explant, and some doctors truly believe that breast implants cause major issues. That's the only thing they do now, is they explant. They don't even put
Really?
breast. Yeah, they just
Wow.
explant. That's all their business is now, is to explant. The FDA has added, black box warnings. So we have more information out there, but at the time, 11, 12 years ago, when like I said, I implanted without knowing what the repercussions were. The doctor said, here's a pamphlet, read through it, sign a 3-page
Yeah.
consent. And I was like excited to get the implants, thinking, they would make me look, younger and give me more confidence. And it didn't do that. I mean,
Right.
if I were to talk to my younger self now, going back, I would say, find the confidence in yourself. Like, know that there's beauty within yourself, not in these different types of implants and surgeries and all that stuff.
So
So
I'm gonna have you repeat that at the end, because that's literally what I want you to say, kind of as a closing before we shut down. But
yeah.
Eric, you know me, man. I always chime in. You can't keep me quiet. And Kalina, if you cry, I cry. Look, everyone who's on this, they
Yes, I'll
know
start
that
crying.
I have been known to bust out in emotions. And so the research that I've been doing over the past couple of weeks about this, again, has just made me upset for the fact that medical professionals aren't taking this seriously. And I wonder if it just all comes back to money. Right, because
Right.
you had to pay for, or again, I don't want to make an assumption, but again, from an insurance perspective, right, for either
Right.
the implant, the explant, the diagnosis, and all of the steps that you had to go through. Who's paying for that? I mean, is the HSA paying for that? Is the
Yeah.
the Salvador checkbook paying for that?
Salvador
Talk to
fund.
us a little bit about that, right? I mean, because that's
Yeah.
real too.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately, I have the means to one, implant, and then explanting is not cheap as well. Insurance will not pay for it, because it's not a recognized illness that insurances will pay for. So no, it comes out of pocket. The MRI to do the scan, unless it's like a regular, mammogram, which I did as well. That's it's not paid for. The medication, the therapy, the everything post explant is not paid for. So you know it, that would be my advice, is
Mm,
if you are thinking of implanting, and people do it for so many different reasons, but there are repercussions, not just financially, but emotionally and physically. And these are the questions you need to ask before saying, yeah, I'm gonna put these things
yeah, yeah.
in my body,
Right.
and these are like super heavy. um So yeah, it's quite an investment, not an investment, but it's very costly.
Yeah.
To explant I think it costs more than actually than the implant when I implanted. Yeah, I think it did cost more.
Well, I mean, yeah,
That's
because isn't
crazy.
like 10 years later, they're like a 10-year lifespan, right? So every 10 years, and the
Right,
reason I know that is because a lot of people that I know get breast implants. You take care of them. The thing that worries me is that sometimes there are some doctors you can look at a person and say, hey, well, they've had like 20 million surgeries. When is enough, and I know
Mm.
there is a sickness that some people will have because they like the surgeries and the changes, where your face doesn't even look the same anymore, or um and I can go on a tangent about all that stuff, just seeing that stuff around. And is there a board that watches? And I know some doctors do it because they know that if they don't do it, there's a doctor that they're going to go to that might not be as safe, that'll do it as well. So I know, I mean, what's the resolution? What's the solution to help young women or even older women feel more confident about themselves, so that they don't have to? And don't get me wrong, men do this too. I know men that get plastic
Mm-hmm.
surgery,
Mm-hmm.
calf
right.
implants, chest
Yeah,
implants. I don't know if everyone's seen those images where the guy puts muscles on it. It doesn't even look real. I'm like, why would you do that? So, but yeah, thank you for sharing this story. And I know you don't have all the answers. I know you have all the answers for you, but
right.
after your post explant, how's your health been? How do you feel?
Mm.
What's going on with Kalina now?
So if anyone is out there, thinking about explant, and I hope to bring awareness and share that with, share my experience with women that are going through this journey now. I will have to say, from my personal journey, I was nervous, going into this explant. What, and I actually like, the aesthetics of a bigger upper body. As you know, Eric, I competed, and so and that's a whole different, topic, I think, because
Right.
the body, to compete, it's not just the aesthetic of it, but when you get to a level where you have no body fat, bodybuilding is all about aesthetics. You want to look
Yeah.
proportional, and so many women end up getting the breast implants just so they can achieve that look, because they've lost a lot of body fat. But um, what I can say is that post explant, my biggest problem going in was I could not breathe. I literally would tell my boyfriend as I was going to bed, please watch out for me at night because I don't know if I'm going to stop breathing.
Oh.
I can barely breathe. I'm gasping for air. Every time I took a breath, it felt like someone was stabbing me in my rib cage.
Mhm.
When I woke up after that surgery, and it was a longer surgery than the doctors had expected, because what they do is when they open you up, you want the doctors to take out all the scar tissue. You don't want any scar tissue. You don't want any of that hardened capsule that had developed over the years to protect your body left in your body. And so my surgery took several hours. I woke up, Eric, and I just remember I was still a little fuzzy from the anesthesia, but I woke up and I took that breath and I'm like, "Oh my God, I can breathe." And
Wow.
Wow.
and like that brings tears to my eyes,
Yeah.
because that was a big thing with women, on
Mhm.
this Facebook page. Was all I read was like, "I can breathe, I can breathe, I can breathe." And I'm like, that's crazy, because that's my problem. I can't breathe. I can't breathe with,
Yeah.
gasping for air or feeling pain in my body. And when I woke up after surgery, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can breathe. Like, I don't feel like an elephant is sitting on my chest. I don't
Yeah.
feel the pain in my rib cage. The other thing was, for several years, my gums and my teeth, I
Mhm.
would bleed. Always felt like I had this like metallic taste in my mouth for years. I did
Oh, wow.
like gum scraping and all this dental work. And I woke up remembering, like, I don't taste that mercury type
Wow.
thing in my mouth. And then over the course of the next weeks, I realized, oh my gosh, my gums are not bleeding. Whereas I literally like had like a pool of blood in my mouth
Wow.
when I would
Gotcha.
sometimes floss. And so I'm pretty convinced that the breathing and the gum issue were from the breast implants, because that has gone away.
That's the
There are,
change, right?
yeah, that's a big change.
Let me go into this, because I think again we're making one assumption about something, and then I'd like you to do the show and tell again, because those are the actual ones. But they didn't necessarily have to rupture, right, for
No.
this to happen. So I think that conversation needs to be had as well. So saline, silicone, is having this foreign substance within your body cause these symptoms, cause these reactions as well, and there didn't necessarily have to be a rupture within the implant in and of itself. And those, you said those are the actual ones right there that got
Yeah.
explanted. So,
Yeah.
folks, that's no joke, right?
These were in my body. They're huge. Um, so these are this is silicone. It's very jelly like, and as I was saying very early on, these are not lifetime devices. They're not impermeable. The outside shell of this is actually made out of silicone.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's people think that that there's like 50 toxins in this thing.
Mm.
It's a chemical soup, and for it not to leak into your body is, it's not safe. It, it went in, fully plumped, and now it's sort of like this deflated. It's yellow in tint. I don't know if you can tell, but it is yellow in tint. So it could have mold. It doesn't necessarily have to rupture for you to have problems.
Well, I mean, if it's made of silicone, I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like,
Right.
like they tell you, even drinking out of aluminum cans, you can still, aluminum, you're still gonna, or water bottles, the same thing. If a water bottle is sitting in the heat and you drink the water, I mean, you can have that toxin go in your body as well. So
Right.
that's scary.
Yeah,
Um,
and your body is warm, your body is nice and warm, and so
yeah.
it's bound to leak all these chemicals out into your body.
And your body's designed to fight kind of external items that come into your body, right? It's designed to fight it. So you're getting all this inflammation, you're getting all these things happening to your body because your body is trying to say, "Hey, something's wrong. Something's wrong." Um, I know you said those are made of silicones, but even the saline outside shell is made of silicone, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the shell
Yeah.
itself is silicone.
So it's still, you're
Yeah.
still, I feel like there's still a risk
Yeah.
there. And I think
Yeah.
you almost want to, if somebody's going to say, they decide, hey, you know what, I want to get these. I understand the risk. Like a smoker knows they're going to get cancer. They still smoke. So
Right.
this person says, hey, I still want to feel this way. I want to, want to have the confidence and get those. You almost want to have a game plan savings account, like a, like a maintenance plan later, so that you can, if something does happen, you can pay for this
Man,
the
but that's
explant.
crazy. That's crazy
It's
though.
silly, right?
That's crazy. And I want to be cognizant too of the questions and statements that are coming in too, because Melanie I just put up there. Implants have changed a lot in terms of technology. I think in terms of, I'm sure in terms of science and components or materials used, right? So safety is, as I'm sure, is of the utmost importance, as opposed to just trying to make a buck. I would hope, and I would assume. I'm sitting here getting emotional. That's why I keep going off screen, to be honest. So I'll actually put myself out there. But go ahead where you were going, Evie. I wanted to be cognizant and bring some of these questions that were coming up from the audience.
Do you have a question? There it is.
No, you were asking before
Sweet.
I interjected, and MDH is coming in and keeping me straight here on it. So I appreciate her for that as well.
Thank you, Melanie.
Yeah, and you know what? Many women, I feel like are, but I think where a lot of this confidence and I don't want to say a hang. I hate to say hang up, because I feel like, I've always told my daughter, hey, you're beautiful, and it's not the same coming from your family, and because I want to say your foundation, but it's honestly, when you're going through those social skills in school, people say mean things, and I can't even. I mean, growing up for me was. I want to say I was bullied, everyone, it was insane what kids will say to you. And those things that stick with you. And I'm not saying that that's your case, but I'm saying there's a lot of different reasons why different people do that or get implants. And,
Right.
like you said, their reasons are different by wanting to do that.
Right.
But it's, yeah. Okay, let's talk questions.
Here they come. So again, want to be
I know, it's
cognizant of your time, and just know that we've got a few more minutes with you. But as folks are chiming in, I guess I want to ask this as well. I will show like the link to your website as well, and put that in the description. So if folks want to see your journey and see what you're doing from a fitness perspective, I'm gonna put that up there right now. How about that?
Yeah.
Shouts out to KalinaFit.com. Celebrate health and wellness with Kalina Salvador. I know the guy who took that picture right there.
Well, look, I mean, she's amazing. You can tell she works out. You can tell she's the picture of health, right?
Yeah.
And then for her to go to a doctor and say, I'm not feeling well, come on.
Right.
That should have been a wake up call. It's not like you're trying, you're out there smoking 20 packs and saying, he can say, oh yeah, it's probably because you're smoking it. It's, something's wrong. If you're doing everything to practice being healthy, then, I think it's, I don't know. I'm getting mad now.
Don't get mad. So Kalina, let's bring this back into perspective.
Saying, hey, it's all in your mind. How can it be all in your mind if your gums are bleeding, you have this gut health? I mean, something's happening inside your body and you can't explain it. You got to dig further. I mean, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Actually, here we got some questions. So shouts out to my guy Quint coming in. Medical implant myself. Vagus nerve stimulator was implanted in 2016 and malfunctioned in 2019. Decision to do anything to your body is a big decision. Sometimes the long term really stinks, right? And again, there are different reasons for doing what people do, right? So either from a aesthetic perspective, from a transformation perspective, from a cancer diagnosis, whatever the case may be, right? You do what you have to do, or you do what you need to do for yourself and for your body, but be informed, right? And I think we said this earlier, you were an active participant in your health and in your health diagnosis. So you did what you did for a reason, but you noticed that something wasn't right. So you continued to do the research. You didn't take no for an answer because you know something ain't right, right? You like that line from the movie Life. You just can't get right. All right, so something wasn't feeling right. So you continued on with your diagnosis and your investigation. You found the Facebook group where there were women just like you going through it, and you're like, this is me. And now you're definitely on the road to recovery. I want to bring up this question as well here, and then I want to ask you kind of next steps and kind of how you're progressing with your move forward. What do you want to say to women who might be wondering if their implants are causing problems? I think that's a huge question, and I think that only you can answer.
For me, I denied it for many years. Like I said, I saw the group. There was another group out there where the title of the group was Breast Implants, the Ticking Time Bomb. And because of my ego, because I refused to think that, my illness, any issues I was having was caused because of my breast implants. So if you think that any of your health issues are related to your implants, I, go to the Facebook group, talk to people. You're not crazy, which is something that I went through because, the blood tests, all the MRIs, the CAT scan showed I was a healthy human being, yet I knew in my gut there was something wrong. Like James was saying, you have to be your own health advocate, but there are resources out there now for breast implant illness. Unfortunately, years ago, we didn't have this group, we didn't have social media where people were talking. And so now, fortunately, we're at an age where information is basically at your fingertips if you're willing to do the research. And so, if you suspect that your illnesses, even if I had like headaches constantly, and I did crazy things like I said, ozone. I did Botox in my head, thinking that would help. But I haven't had any major head things now ever since I've explanted. So a lot of
Awesome.
issues have gone away. Some things have not gone away. I'll have to be honest. With it, it's still a journey for me. Detoxing is still a journey because I've had the implants for years,
Right.
and so my body doesn't efficiently detox chemicals and myotoxins and all that other stuff. So it's a continual learning process, but research and ask why. Why am I feeling like this? Even before getting implanted, any medical device that you put into your body, I hear, I have students that, knees are like super expensive and they implant their knees and
Right.
hips and things like that. Um, and they cause issues as well. So they're not meant to be lifetime devices that are implanted into your body. And one of you guys said it, the body is such a, a miraculous piece of
Machine.
work where
Yeah.
it wants to protect you. And so when I got the implants, what happens with women is there's this scar tissue, this
Yeah.
hard capsule that it forms around the implant itself,
Mm.
and it's your body's way of saying, I don't want this in my body, and I'm going to protect you by creating this scar tissue around it. um, and so I'm assuming it's like that with other devices as well. But yeah, do your research. You're not crazy. Reach out to me, and I'm happy to share my story, and introduce you to other women that have a bigger voice. They're much more knowledgeable. They're super they advocate. They go to to Washington to petition the FDA to make changes.
That's where the
So
conversation needs to happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where
yeah,
we need to start knocking on some doors, right? And to be honest with you, have some regulation and some. I'm not a big government guy, but I do think there needs to be some oversight again when we start talking about people's health, wealth, and well-being and safety, that kind
Right.
of thing.
and it does come down to
Yeah.
money, James. Like you said, plastic surgeons are in the business for implanting these things, and so there were studies in the 1960s that were ongoing but were suppressed. But major concerns around the implants leaking, and because they created some new silicone medical device, they said this was safe, and that's what I ran
Mm.
with. Like
Mm.
when I first got it was, oh, the FDA says it's fine, so
Yeah.
why should I be concerned?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you dig a little deeper, there was data out there that did not get published, where it was not safe. Yeah,
Right.
there was lots of studies done where it was not safe.
Right.
Eric, I want to talk to her for about at least another hour, but
I know, right?
I
She doesn't
know
have an hour.
I
She has
know
10
that's
minutes.
just not going to happen. I will. I'm just going to echo this right here. Thank you for sharing your story. What do
Well,
you
I
do?
just want to add
Go,
really
go ahead,
quick.
man. No, go ahead. But I keep talking, so I'm gonna let you talk.
I just want to add that on Unscripted, this is not a slam on plastic surgery. This is not a slam on breast implants. This
Right.
is just making you aware that, hey, there could be complications, or there could be consequences to getting this. So it's not a slam on breast augmentation. It's just be aware of what could happen, or if you get any of those symptoms, or realize you're having any of those symptoms, just be your advocate for yourself and say, hey, if I'm not getting the right diagnosis, let's figure out what's still going on with me, if you're still feeling that way and having those symptoms. That's what this is about.
Boom.
Right. And there are many women out there. I have a cousin that she's had two implants, and she doesn't have issues.
Right.
So, there are women out there where the body does not reject the implants. They're
Right.
completely fine with it. But there are still many women out there where, in time, their body does reject it. So yes,
Yeah.
be ready to know what the repercussions are. Again, not just financially, but emotionally as well.
Yeah.
That's a
Mhm.
huge aspect of it, right? We didn't even touch into that, right? The whole mental aspect
Yeah.
as well, right? So
Yeah.
you're going to lose a couple of dollars out of your bank account, but then just going through, like, and you mentioned, the therapy, right?
Right.
And that's not just physical therapy, that's mental. There's just so many
Emotional.
different
Oh
conversations
yeah.
that we can have about this.
I mean, I went into this thinking, what if it is not my breast implants? What
Yeah.
if I take them out and I physically am just don't like the way I look? The
Yeah.
skin is going to sag. My body looks completely different now, but there are also other alternatives. There are like fat implants or fat injections, I think that,
Yeah.
women can do. And then, push-up bras, that
Technology.
things
You
like
gotta
that.
love
But
technology sometimes.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Some technology
yeah,
is good technology,
That's true. I tell you what,
but you got to know
I
what's
got,
best for you. Go ahead.
yeah, I got one last question. Then Evie, I'm gonna let you shut it down. And Kalina, I told you, coming back to the same thing. What's your message to other women who may be impacted by this? And you kind of touched on it earlier, but I would like to it's so important. Would love to hear you say it one more time.
yeah. I mean, looking back now, if it were me talking to my younger self, just really understanding, asking the whys. Why do you want the implants? Well, because I think it's going to give me confidence. What really is it really going to give you confidence? And I think it's important to know that clothes, implants, everything that we put on the outside shell here is not going to build that. And it really comes from within your heart, knowing that there is beauty within yourself, that you are beautiful, that you are good enough, and finding confidence in that, rather than, uh, the all of these other outside influences. So, um, you know, uh, had I known that, hindsight's 2020. But
Yeah.
this is what I tell my daughter now, and just really instilling that, that confidence in here, is what's super important, I think, for women now. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Evie, take us home, man.
Kalina, thank you for tuning in, or thank you for joining this show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Just remember, on this show, we chat about life, friends, health, finance, you name it. It's unscripted.
We out, y'all. Be good to
Thanks.
yourself. Take care. We out.